Warm greetings from the High 10. It's Everyday Shenanigans. Thanks for joining me. This is a two-part live pertaining to the West Boys case. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to bring you information about the gag order that was issued in this case pertaining to witnesses, law officials, attorneys, people that work for the court system. No one is allowed to speak or talk or give any information, interviews pertaining to this case. As I brought you information yesterday or day before yesterday, pertaining to the defense speaking forward on behalf of their clients, Giselle and Jacqueline West. They may do a change of venue because they didn't like the commentary that was brought by the district attorney pertaining to the case being ironclad and believable by the grand jury. I'm going to go ahead and play you some commentary pertaining to the gag order. If you need verification for the storyline, 23 ABC News is the source. Thank you for joining me. Oh, wait. Sorry about that.
With the motion, their main concern right now is still finding the boys' bodies.
On the people's request for a gag order, Mr. Hennessy, did you have any objection on behalf of your client?
No, Your Honor, no objections.
This court saw any objection?
No, Your Honor. And with that, a gag was set, prohibiting investigators and law enforcement from publicly speaking about the case. Judges usually issue these gag orders to guarantee a fair trial by preventing any information that can sway the public's opinion to reach the juries. In this case, the gag order so far applies to investigators, police, all court personnel, and really anyone with access to the case file, meaning none of them are able to speak about this case for the remainder of the trial. Meanwhile, given Tuesday's hearing was a motion, Giselle and Jacqueline West were not physically in court. The attorneys representing them were and agreed to the gag order and are asking to extend the order to others.
How about potential witnesses?
Prosecutor Eric Smith originally did not list witnesses in the motion, but after it was brought up by the judge, the West attorneys submitted to include witnesses.
I don't have any issue with that. The issue would be contacting all of them in fashion to let them know it's a gag order.
The prosecutor will have until March 15th to let witnesses know of the gag order. The judge also agreed to seal the jury transcript and search warrants, including the probable cause, which is used by law enforcement to prove someone committed a crime. Meanwhile, the biological family of the boys were also in court Tuesday morning and gave 23 ABC their thoughts on the motion.
Whoever the gag order is on, it's a good thing, especially in this case, because, we don't want nothing to get leaked out and, misinformation and mislead and just everything we've been through this whole 14 months. We're trying to prevent that from happening again, especially now that they are locked up. All we have to do now is just let the prosecutor and them do their job.
The adoptive parents have pleaded not guilty and are being held without bail. Now the trial is set to start on May 23rd, and coming up on the news at 6, hear more from the family on why they don't want to see the location of the trial changed. Live in downtown Bakersfield, Tawny Patino, 23 ABC News, connecting you.
All right, everybody. So that's the said commentary pertaining to this information. Okay. All paperwork in the case, lawyers, witnesses, court officials cannot speak, can't talk. The family is giving their opinion. They don't want to change the venue, and they're going to get back with them later on that said commentary. I also meant to put that in my title because I was rushing to try to get this out. I will put that back in the title, but this is about the gag order. I don't have really much to say about the gag order, but my other title is pertaining to the bodies. The bodies have not been recovered. Do you think they need bodies to seal a conviction? And also, how do you all feel about the defense possibly asking for a change of venue because of the information given by Ms. Zimmer that seemed to be prejudicial in favor of, what am I trying to say? That the grand jury believed what was said. But in the end, as they said, 12 members are going to decide the fate, so the grand jury doesn't matter at that point. 12 members are going to listen, and they will make the decision pertaining to Jacqueline and Giselle West. So this commentary is, do you think they need the bodies to get a convictions against the two parties? And how do you feel about the trial being moved to another location where people possibly haven't heard about this case Crystal Moore, take it from here. I will bring you commentary thereafter she speaks. Come on.
I do believe that I think that they're gonna have a hard time with this case. The reason why I say that is because I was listening to the attorney and how the attorney was, talking about how the grand jury, how you don't have to have a lot of evidence and whatnot. And if they were to change it to, a lot of people have heard about this case. But there's also that, a lot that happened. But I think that they're going to need a lot more than just, right now they're just going off of really he said, she said to me.
Okay.
But then again, we don't know what all the evidence is. And then I think it's going to depend too on who's actually saying what. If it's their kids, which pretty much we know that it is, then possibly. But I think that I don't know. I don't think that they're going to get the 30 to life and all that. I don't know. I think it's going to be. I don't think it's just a done deal.
Okay, let's start with the beginning of the gag order. Do you believe that everybody will adhere, that nothing will get leaked out by witnesses, court officials, law officials? Do you think everybody will keep their mouths closed?
No.
Okay. Why did you say that?
No, because you look at it now from the beginning, it came out. So.
What do you mean?
I just don't think that.
Explain what you mean. Explain what you mean.
Because the news reporters, they go and they ask the officials, how, like, for instance, what the cop that was in Cal City, but what's his name?
Chief Walker.
Yes. Just the reporters asking questions automatically. Even though he's not saying, he wasn't giving like direct answers, but he was still talking about it, right? Mm-hmm. But had he had a gag order, he wouldn't even been able to. They wouldn't even been able to ask questions. But just that little bit got out. So
what are you talking about? You talking about in the beginning?
I'm just saying, from the beginning, stuff was coming out. What's going to stop it from? What's going to stop the officials and whatnot from saying something now? Oh. And here we are toward the end. You know what I mean?
Okay. So you think somebody will still talk is what you're saying?
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Okay.
It's nature.
Okay.
It's nature.
So the change.
You're going to say something.
So the change of venue, let's say the defense decides that they're not content with the jury panel and getting a fair trial with this case. Mm-hmm. So let's say the judge orders a change of venue. Do you think that will be in favor or disfavor of Jacqueline and Trezell getting a fair trial or not fair trial? Or favor of the boys' case, whichever.
I think it's going to be in their favor if they are removed from Kern County, completely out of Kern County, and they go somewhere. They're going to be in favor. The reason why I say that is because they're not going to. Well, if those people don't know about the case, right?
Yes.
They're just going to go off. Basically, he said, she said.
Okay.
But then they're not going to know X, Y, and Z. So I think that it's going to be. I think that Trezell.
Hey, what's X, Y, and Z? What is X, Y, and Z, ma'am?
A through Z.
Okay. I just want you to explain.
Yes, because they don't know the beginning of the stuff. They're starting all in the middle. They're starting in the middle of the story.
Yeah, like some people were doing.
Yes.
Just want to focus on the kids missing. Yeah.
Yeah, if you start in the middle, then you're not going to know the whole story. So automatically, we need more. So
yes, because we've seen cases. You've heard the district attorney mention some cases where they did get a convictions without bodies of the victims. And I'm also going to bring you that said information in the stats here in America pertaining to that. But let's go there. I think you already touched on that. Do you think if they move the trial to another location in California and then you still have no bodies, would that be in favor of Jacqueline and Trezell getting off despite the evidence, even if the evidence is overwhelming?
Yep, I believe so.
Really?
I believe so.
Okay.
And I think that I think it's gonna be another Casey Anthony case. And it's sad to say, but it's
Because remember what I told people about perception. That what I see, you don't see. That's obvious. 12 people can sit in a jury panel and 5 won't see what the other 7 saw or heard.
Yep, and all it takes is one. All it takes is one person, and
yes.
all you need is reasonable doubt.
Yes, this is
reasonable
true.
doubt.
This
That's
is so
all
true.
you need.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
Well, that's why Casey
all
Anthony is free.
Prove it.
Well, that's why Casey Anthony is free, because those people could not make themselves believe that the evidence that was shown by the DA was enough to convict her. Once Baez threw other suspects in, that's all it took. They threw in her father, her brother, and the utility worker who found the body. So.
Yep, because you got to prove it.
Nobody said it was going to be a Casey Anthony case. Nobody said, y'all don't listen.
Yeah, you have to prove it without a reasonable doubt. There's no way, because, and the reason why I say that, even through the news, YouTube, all this stuff, look how many people they're still on their side.
Yes, right.
Exactly. They're still on there.
And that's my point. That's my point about it, is that people will believe people no matter what the evidence says. And nobody is saying either way how the trial is going to come out. It is just a hypothetical. It's just a question. Do they need the bodies for a conviction? I'm letting you give your commentary, yes or no. As simple as that.
I do. I think they're going to have a hard time with this case. I really do. I hate to say it, and God forbid, if they do get off, they're going to end up getting those kids back, and whatever them kids said. Now those kids are going to be.
Well, I don't think they would get the kids back. Even if let's just say they got off. Let's say the 12 voted them, however it goes. Let's say they were freed from these crimes. The state wouldn't give the kids back just from what the kids told. I don't think that.
But I mean,
I don't think they would.
If they've been found not guilty, why wouldn't they get their kids back?
Because they're separate entities. And they could do what they want. And so many people love to cry and moan about what the state do and don't do.
Oh, yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? They still don't have to adhere to getting them back. You have to ask yourself how long it's going to take to get a conviction, how long this trial is going to take. Ms. Zimmer has not stated how long she thinks the trial is going to last. Her hope is for May 23rd, but she hasn't said exactly. She hasn't given a timeline of how long she thinks it's going to take.
Yep.
So I don't know.
Yep. All they have to do is one person with just a little bit of.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Doubt.
You just can't ever tell. And for those who aren't paying attention, it's not to say either way. It's just weighing all options of a trial, because I deal in facts. And in facts is you don't know how things are going to pan out in the trial. You don't know who's going to talk. You don't know who's going to not show up and testify. So a lot of you don't think about what's obvious. There are many people who testified in the grand jury but don't testify in court. They got to make them come to court. Because it's totally different with the grand jury, because that's secretive. But open court is not secretive.
Yep, and you just don't know. The attorney could ask them one way, but then guess what? The prosecution's going to come up and say, oh, well, what happened to you back in 2015?
Oh, yes, and they do that. And exactly.
Gonna come out.
And they do bring your past up.
Yep,
you also have to factor in the fact that we don't know all the witnesses. We don't know what they actually know about the case. So let's just say, for instance, somebody actually has definitive information that the children were already dead. You're now getting ready to go sit on a witness stand and tell that to the general public with your government name that you knew all along that the boys were dead or suspected they were dead, missing, which is a welfare. I don't think a lot of people will be ready for that, to testify to that. Because as I said, what happens with the grand jury, it's not the same as in a trial. In the trial, you will be sitting there publicly in front of people with your government name. In the grand jury trial, all those proceedings are secretive. Nobody knew who you were. Nobody knew that you came forward.
Right. Yep, it's gonna be a whole nother ball game. Yep. Then they're gonna bring up everybody. You already know whoever the 50 people are. You know that they've already looked at their background.
Oh yes, of course. But that's what they're supposed to do.
Everything.
But that's what they're supposed to do. And the defense will also send out investigators to also probe in the backgrounds of the witnesses. That is to be expected. So that's why I tell people it's more to a trial than just what it appears to be and what it seems like. You have to count what is obvious. The defense and the state are going to do their job to secure convicting the two and or the defense trying to get the two off. So by all means necessary. And that is exactly what Baez did pertaining to Casey Anthony. He went below and under the belt to get that girl off, and he got her off.
Yep.
And that's not to say that is what will happen in this case. I don't think I need to explain that to anybody. I'm just weighing all the options that can happen during a trial. So let's say they don't find the bodies by the time they go to trial. Will the people believe the information that the district attorney is bringing forward, that these people induced their children to harm the children, murder the children, and what happened to the bodies? Because anybody's going to use common sense. If you hurt the kids, then where are the bodies?
I think what's going to win them over is on who is talking. If it's the kids telling exactly, this is what happened. A through Z.
Yeah. Which I think they will. Which I think that's who the witnesses are going to be.
Yeah, then that is more believable. But if you have a neighbor saying something, and no.
Yeah.
That's reasonable doubt right there. If it's a neighbor, how do you know what went on in their household?
Yeah.
Like, you weren't in the household 24 hours a day.
Right.
So there's no way you can say, oh, well, I heard, or well, I assumed I seen this. And no, you can't. You can't do that. So all they need is just a little reasonable doubt. That's it. And the case is over. That's it.
But see, the one thing that doesn't that helps the state in this situation, if indeed they have the children as culprits to the crime, you don't have the bodies of the children, and that they can show the state that the children had been missing, and you got people to verify, hey, I didn't see the kids 3 months before. I didn't see them. I saw them around town with just the 4. You got to now logically explain the defense where those 2 are, because they were in your custody. They weren't visiting you. They were actual children that you were taking care of and that you adopted. So that will be the one thing that they will have to prove. Because they always say the burden is on the state to prove the case, not the defense. Well, the defense will have to prove where the hell are the 2 children. If you didn't hurt them, you didn't harm them. The state has proof to show, hey, people have seen you all with just the 4. We've got the kids saying the kids have been gone. They helped murder the children, harm the children, however it went. So where are the 2 children? That will be the problem for the defense, is trying to explain logically to 12 members of a jury where the hell the 2 children are.
All right.
Well, I'm just asking you, can you imagine, well, what are they going to say? What are they going to say where the 2 children are?
You can't. You can't.
Yeah, you can.
I can't imagine what they're going to come up with.
And that's where the scary part comes in, just like what that shit that happened in Florida. You couldn't imagine that he would implicate the father molesting her, the brother doing something to her too, and then the damn, I was going to call him the milkman, the utility worker. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
This man's out doing his job. Now he's implicated in a crime. So it's like, how would he get the laundry bag to put the baby in when he don't know the Anthonys, never been to their house? The bag comes from Target, 3 bags, all matching canvas bags. The baby's in one of those matching bags. The other 2 are in the garage. What are the odds?
Right.
The sheet she's wrapped in matches her sheet sets at the house. They threw all that out. The stickers, they argued about where the stickers actually were on her face, on the duct tape. What difference do it make? If I go back to the house and see the same stickers, it doesn't matter if the sticker was in her hair, on her stomach, on her finger. The point is the same stickers were in the house.
Right.
But they threw all that out. So that's when I said, that's when you know people are crazy. Because things that wasn't even what I would consider circumstantial to me, you can buy stickers anywhere, right? You can buy a laundry basket anywhere, but we know people tend to shop at either Target, Walmart for things like laundry baskets, Dollar General, Family Dollar. Okay, for laundry baskets. So you only got probably a few places to buy those type of items, Bed Bath and Beyond, depending on your pocketbook. There's only a few places you're going to get it. Oh, then you got linen and things. And then you got more top brand stores to buy laundry baskets. But still, once you narrow it down in a radius of where the house is to buy those items, still got to make it make sense how and the odds of the child being in those said things that match things from your house.
Right.
And how 12 members still said, hell no.
Yep. Isn't that
It's
crazy?
very scary.
It's
It's very scary.
Anything is possible.
Anything's possible. But I pray that the jury will listen to all the information brought by the state. They will listen to all the eyewitnesses, and they will, judge according to the information. But as I said, the main thing is you don't have the two boys, period. So you have to explain where they are. And she said she's going to explain that they are actually deceased.
Right.
So we will have to see if the 12 members will believe her witnesses and the evidence that she has, because remember, they got DNA from the bio father. So now we have to ask ourselves, what is that? Did that ever occur to you? What that might be? The evidence that that they tested with the father was against. This is interesting.
Yeah.
I asked you, have you thought about the evidence for the DNA? And what did you come up with?
I just figure that we don't have a body. So it has to be some type of course, it's going to be DNA. They're testing it to get some type of DNA.
Yeah, but I'm saying, what is it from is what I'm saying. What is it?
I think it's blood.
Okay, blood.
That's what I think. I think that it's blood, and then I also think that it may be when you die, you end up, you have body fluids and stuff.
Yes. After death.
That's what I think it is.
Let me ask you this, and this is a very morbid question. It's no disrespect, but all this will come out in the trial as well. I wonder how long the children were actually deceased, and did they dispose of the children immediately?
That's what I want to know. That's what I've been thinking about that too. Because if it was 3 months ago,
right?
Yeah, was it right when it happened?
Yeah, disposing of the bodies.
They put them in some type of container and then moved them.
Yeah. Because when you think of crimes, naturally you got to be able to get the victim out of the place, such as the home, the house, whatever the crime was committed. And then you've got to get them to their disposal place. Now, naturally, a 3 or 4 year old would be easier to dispose of than a bigger person, human.
Right.
So it wouldn't be hard to put them in anything. So I wonder, did the state, the detectives, Cal City and Bakersfield, if they checked the landfills in both cities? Because at first, nobody knew if the children made it to Cal City or not. So I wonder if they checked the landfills, because as someone had said in some commentary, it is a known thing for most killers to discard of children and people in garbage dumpsters.
Yeah.
And since they're so tiny, it would be easier to just, throw them away in a dumpster. Drive across town or to a neighboring town and throw them away in a dumpster. Yeah.
Because just think if you dispose of a body, especially a child.
Yeah.
How hard that would be to find a child.
Yeah. Well, because they're little.
Man.
They're little, and then you got to count the timeline. They were gone by the time these people moved to the house. So therefore, nobody knew at the time when they were talking to them that they were wherever, deceased or wherever. They didn't get information until they said a week later. So I'm assuming that's when maybe the psychologist detectives talked to the children. And the children told it, and then it spun from there. Then the video that came to YouTube. So I think it's a combination of one thing after the other, which led the detectives to say, okay, we got to move this case to Bakersfield. But still, nonetheless, you don't have the bodies. You're listening to accounts from children. How horrific that must be to listen at a child implicate himself and his other siblings in a crime of the other siblings. I can't wrap my head around it, quite frankly.
I feel bad for those kids.
Yeah, I feel sorry for them because they're carrying that burden, those that participated. And I still don't have an exact age of the other two that were allegedly adopted by the West.
And I'm trying to think too that why did it take so long?
Yeah, I wondered that too, especially if the children told it. That makes no sense to me. Because you could have held them just on their testimony alone until DNA and phone pings and things came back. So that is odd.
Yeah, why let them run around? I mean, maybe they were waiting, hoping that they were going to backtrack or something. Maybe, I don't know.
Oh, take them to the bodies.
Yeah. Maybe that's what they was hoping for. Yeah. You know? But for them to be out for that whole year.
That's a long time. That's a long time. Especially when you told us that you got information a week later. That really messes it up for me. That you let them walk around, because when you told that just gave that big question mark, like, well, wait a minute. Why in the world would you let these people walk around if you got testimony from the children that they aided in the deaths of the kids? Why in the hell could you not have held them on the children's testimony?
Yep, exactly.
It's very strange to me. Very strange. Yeah. And guess what? The defense is going to probably mention that in court.
Yeah, yep.
You felt so adamant about their guilt. You let us know that with what you told the grand jury. So why would you let them? Why didn't you bring an indictment earlier?
Right. Yep. Why'd you wait a year? And right then and there, boom. What is that? Reasonable doubt.
Right.
Case over.
Exactly. I mean, well, don't say case over, because you know these people get a little jiggy in the chat.
Hey,
look, they're already jiggy.
Facts, man. I'll roll with the facts.
But you know, the defense is going to ask that.
Yeah.
They're going to say, at what point did you get information pertaining to the fact that you thought these two were implicated in the deaths of the children? Once you say it out loud, they're going to come back and say, well, that's a mighty long time to let these people walk free if you thought they were guilty. Why would you do that? Why would you not go to the grand jury to say, we need to bring them in on the children's information? And they'll probably say, well, we wanted to wait till we got DNA testing, phone pings, eyewitness testimony, surveillance. We just wanted to get it all to make sure the indictment would stick. Now, that could be the main reason. So the indictment would stick.
That's true too. But then they can also turn around and go say, okay, so why not in 2 months then?
Okay, somebody in the chat says the other boys were 8 and 10. All right.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I hope that they are found guilty, because
Goose, who are you speaking of? Are you speaking of the bio children or the other two adopted children were 8 and 10? Clarify. Wow. I can't even imagine. So let's just say the children were older. See, the other video about the 2 older boys was okay 5 days ago if you want to double check it. Oh, the 2 adopted ones. Okay. So let's just say the two adopted ones were older children. Okay. Near the ages of the biological children. And that means, I hope not. All of them participated in the deaths of the children. Wow.
And what did they do? How did they do it?
That's okay. I'm fine, Goose.
Did they have them like sit on top of them, and you know what I mean? Like, what did they do? Yeah,
well, you know they're gonna tell that in court.
Yeah, they're gonna tell all of that.
I just can't understand what. And see, that's another thing with the defense. How are you going to explain logically, especially if the children testify to they videotaped it? How are you going to explain that to a jury what they're watching? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Logically, how are you going to explain parents orchestrating and rooting for you to hurt these 2 kids?
Right.
How are you going to explain that?
You can't explain it.
You can't explain it.
You can't explain it.
Yeah.
But then they can always say, and then they have to prove that, oh, it was that day. You know, it was really that day that it happened. You know, if that video was made on that day, it wasn't made.
Yeah. Well, see, she said so that's where I think that September 1 through the 30th comes in. But then the flip side of that is all audio has a timestamp if you film from your phone. It'll have the exact date. Because right now, if you go on your phone right now and record something, when you go up to those three dots in the corner, that gives you the date and time of the video. So I don't know. It was the bio mother who was interviewed talking about it. So you can look it up later. Goose, we don't have information that those are her children. We don't have a receipt that those were her kids. They had hundreds of kids that went into their custody. We can't say that the lady that came forward that those are her children, if that's what you're speaking of. So a lot of people getting that mixed up, and we don't have a receipt to that yet because all the records are sealed. So who's going to tell you that the lady that came forward last week saying her kids were in their possessions and possibly missing, that they were the two that Jacqueline and Giselle adopted? We don't know that. All right. Somebody in the chat says they are hers. Bring a receipt that they're hers. I don't go by gossip. I don't work like that. Because the lady has not come back out to speak again from the news. That's why she was asking the question, are they her kids? But I haven't read anywhere that they've been confirmed to be her children, because the state says they're not speaking on the children. So how can you all say they were her kids?
Right. Yeah, she hasn't came and said, oh, yeah.
She hasn't come back. She hasn't gotten confirmation that those are her kids. And nobody's going to tell her.
From her mouth, not nobody else's mouth. Let her say, yes, those are my kids. Not from somebody else saying, oh, yeah, that was her kids. No.
Yeah. Well,
he said, she said.
I need a receipt that they're her kids. Because from my understanding, they're like most foster care parents. They probably had 100 and some kids or more go through their custody in and out of their house. So who's to say that those are her children?
Yeah.
I wonder if both boys were killed on the same day, if they hurt one and then a few weeks later hurt the other one. That's a good question. That's a very good question.
Yeah, because I was trying to figure out, like, okay, if they did at the same time, like, why did they do it at the same time?
See, I didn't think about that. I haven't dwelled on that. So let's talk about that. Is it possible that they didn't murder the children the same day?
That's possible.
That's possible. So then that means you still orchestrated the children to beat them at separate times. That'd be just even more crazy. Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
That's bad. That's real bad.
But possibly, I don't know. Will we ever know everything now?
Well, I'm just going to bank on whatever the children have to say, because I don't see these children at that age, even the 8 and 10 line, because even for them to come forward and implicate themselves, 9 times out of 10, they're telling the truth about whatever happened in that household. And I do believe that all the children have probably been verbally abused by Jacqueline and Giselle West. So I don't see that the kids will be lying about what happened.
I don't believe they're lying. Whatever they said, I don't believe they're lying either. Because I know that they're traumatized, and I know they're scared to even say something. Somebody
here saying they confirmed the pictures. What pictures? There haven't been any pictures released to the other children.
Yeah, see, they're just going by he said.
She was on somebody's channel. They did an interview with her.
Supposedly.
Yeah. Okay. But my thing is this. What pictures have you seen to say that those are her children? That means she'd have to show you pictures versus any pictures that the West posted to social media, that those are the same children. So then we'd have to go back to the pictures from way long time ago when when they were out to eat at that restaurant and they all were standing around with the said children. She'd have to say that the children in that photograph are her kids.
And her herself has not came out on camera
Well,
to say yes.
Somebody's saying she was interviewed by a certain person.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And raised.
But
you raised from the dead all of a sudden.
Yeah. You don't hear her, you don't see her saying it though. That's the thing.
Oh, well, I had watched it. So you watched it? You heard it?
Yeah.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah. You don't see that. Yeah, no.
You don't see her saying it. What do you mean?
You don't see the mom actually say yes. Oh my God, yes, those are my kids. You don't see her saying that. Somebody else says it for her.
What do you mean somebody else says it for? I'm confused with what you're saying.
Yeah, somebody else is saying it. Somebody else is saying, "Oh yes, she said that. That's her kids," like that.
Well, I'm confused. If the person is being interviewed by this person, why wouldn't the parents say yes or no? I don't understand what you're saying.
The person is saying they interviewed the other person, right? But you don't see the interview. You don't see that person on the camera. You don't see that person saying yes. You don't see that person looking at pictures.
What, do you hear the person talking?
No.
Okay, come on with this now.
No.
Okay.
So that's why I said it's he said, she said. I can say, oh, I interviewed her. I showed her some pictures and she said it was her kids. Now, do you believe me?
So that's what I'm trying to ascertain about the information. Is did the woman sit before the camera and people saw what she looked like and she showed you pictures compared to pictures that the West had to say, yes, I've looked at photographs that they had of some other children and I've got photos to show you that these are the same children. That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, no, none of that.
Okay. Okay, Ginger says no, she's just relaying with the other mom. Well, that don't mean nothing to me. Do not mention other YouTubers' name in my chat because you're carrying gossip at the moment. I don't do gossip. It's nothing personal, but I don't do he said, she said. Bring me a receipt. And she should know better anyway. Clickbait. Bring a receipt. And considering Jamal posted stuff to his page, I don't know if his page is locked or not, his Facebook page, but there were pictures of them the year before, which would have been Thanksgiving 19, where they were all out at a restaurant. I think there may be some pictures where the other children that they had were in those photographs, if I'm not mistaken. Not mistaken. Goose says 5 years is a long time not to see your children. They can change a lot from 3 to 8, 5 to 10. Yes, that's true. Because I was going to say that too. Children can change features. But naturally, a mother would still know her children, I think, even if they are older in the said photographs. Anyway. I had to bring that gutter trash up in here. Them folks probably ain't talked about the case since probably spring of last year. Now all of a sudden they arrest these people and then they come out like little flower poppies out the ground. You hear me? Just little flower poppies. Get them something to talk about. But other than that, they had nothing to talk about pertaining to the case, true crime, or anything else. These people are tripping.
Right? I said the same thing.
You ain't had nothing to talk about, none of you, until they arrested them last week.
Yeah. Not a word.
Not a word.
Not a peep.
Not a peep. Ratchet. Well, that's my commentary. Basically, the gag order has been issued. No one is allowed to speak or talk about the case. Law officials, lawyers, witnesses, eyewitnesses, court officials, nobody. Also, do you think they need the bodies of the children to secure convictions against Jacqueline and Trezell West? That was my commentary this evening. Okay, Goose says, why not go on the news last December? Why not ask about your boys back then? It's a very good question. Many people have asked that since the lady came forward, she and the boyfriend, and that is suspicious to some people. What do you think about that, Ms. Moore?
Yeah,
that she waited this long?
that was red flags for me because I was saying the same thing, and I'm like, okay, well, it's been 5 years, then why didn't you go?
Yeah, but not the 5 years, the December, but the December issue. 5 years, you couldn't do nothing anyway because they were already, her rights were gone, so it wouldn't have mattered no way.
So
but they're talking about, Goose is saying, why didn't you come forward when the kids went missing?
Yeah, when it first came out,
because that's very suspicious. Could it be that she was she incarcerated at the time? Because she did say she'd been to jail, prison. So I don't know if maybe she was locked up. I don't know. They didn't really go into an in-depth interview with her on the news.
Because they didn't. I wanted to know, when did she find out that they had her sons? Supposedly, that's what I wanted. I wanted to know, like, what was the date?
Oh, when she got locked up. Yeah. That's why I didn't like the interview, because it didn't tell me nothing. Yeah, it didn't tell me anything. Well, it's kind of like the Wells case when that lady went up on the hill and talked to Candace and Don. You just talked around. You let them talk around the subject. You didn't ask them dates and times. Hey, what time did you get home? She just started the story from, we were planting flowers. A whole fucking day went by before you planted the flowers, allegedly.
Right.
You know what I mean? You done went to Egypt and Tokyo since planting the flowers.
Mm-hmm.
So why not start with, hey, this was my itinerary for the day. I would have asked her, can you tell me what you did that day?
Mm-hmm.
What time did you get up? Where did you go at this time? That's how you spin a story. And see, that's something that she's never done. She and her husband have never done in that storyline. They've never given you a definitive time of when they left the house, went here, picked up the boy, did this, swimming hole, pharmacy, blah, blah, blah. Same, you understand what I'm saying? So even with this woman coming forward, I would say, hey, I got pregnant at this age. I had children while I was in foster care at this age. Then I got placed here, or the kids got taken here, got took this year, that year. That's how I would lay the story out. But I know that in the news business, they only do like 2-3 minute clips. So you can't spin, you know what I'm saying, a winded story. They have to chop it. They have to chop up the interview. So if it's a 20-30 minute interview, they can only play like small segments on the news. So I don't know if they're going to come back with more information, pertaining to what happened with her and her kids. I think, for the record, I'm hoping they did an in-depth interview to where they chop it up.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, because at this point, it doesn't even make any logical sense. You're just saying, well, the state has its rules and they take kids when they're in, when you're in their care. And then they got a spokesperson to speak on that, to say, we have to have, a cause to just take the children. We don't necessarily take the children just because you're in foster care with a baby. Because why would somebody want to take your baby from you and you're already in foster care? That means now you're going to try to go find another place for another kid. And we know how hard it is finding a home for foster care children. This is very, very weird, because I don't even know how old did I even find out how old she was now versus how old she was when she had the children?
Yeah, no, I don't remember even hearing the age.
Yeah.
Just when she talked about the kids, how old they were. And then she said, first she said 5 years, then she said 6 years.
Debbie Sutherland, that's not true. The West have taken pictures with their biological children. That what you're saying is a lie. That is not true. There are pictures of the West with their biological children. They have pictures of their children before they even adopted and foster care kids. That is not true. There's pictures on YouTube right now with they're celebrating Christmas in their living room with their biological children, and the children were smaller. So that is not true. I just saw a picture the other day that I saw over a year ago where the children were in the living room, their biological children. And it was Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
So just make up stuff.
Yeah.
Very sick. Somebody says maybe she'll go on Dr. Phil. Well, good luck with that. Hopefully she goes on Dr. Phil. He'll ask her some pertinent questions. Such as, how old were you when you were in foster care? What age did you get pregnant? Where were you when you got pregnant? How long did you keep the kid? You understand what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
Because you just can't talk around a story. Most people want to know, you know, the age and the time, the details. Yeah. So, because a story doesn't make any sense without the details.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you this. Since that's the latest rumor, do you believe the children that were left behind with the West alongside their 2 bio children, do you think they're possibly this lady's kids?
No, I don't believe so.
Really? Tell me why.
I don't believe so. Only because her first she said 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Then she said 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
But then she said 2018.
Mm-hmm.
That's 4 years. So what is it? 4 or 5 or 6?
Well, that lets me know that maybe her kids have been gone longer before they actually got adopted. I think what she's saying is they got adopted in 18 by the West allegedly.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? But perhaps her children had been out of her custody longer. Does that make any sense?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because maybe the children have been gone. So from 18 till now, this is 22. That would be 4 years.
Yeah.
So perhaps her children were in foster care but hadn't been adopted yet when she lost them. Yeah.
I get what
they were fostered first, you know, because they got to be fostered first before they can be adopted.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And then she said their ages and stuff.
And then, you know, somebody said on another network, God forbid, whoever that is, that she had some child endangerment charges against her. And this is possibly why she lost her children. So one would say that if you had child endangerment charges allegedly, that would probably be a good cause for you not to get your kids back off the top, depending on how you endangered the children. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because some people get their children taken away off the top. There is no negotiating. There are no meetings to get you to go to classes or provisions to get your kids back, depending on the allegations against you or what they have found in investigation.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if that's the case. She lost her kids off the top.
Mm-hmm.
There was no negotiating. Very interesting.
Yeah, I'd like to know the outcome of that.
Mm-hmm.
I really would.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, what if they are her kids?
Yeah.
Or what if they did have her kids and now they're missing?
They are missing.
Nobody's really looked into it.
Right. Yeah. Because the state
part.
don't want to tell anything. They already said we're not addressing her allegations. This is a good question. Somebody says, I wonder the person who told her that Trezell and Jackie adopted gets in trouble. Yeah, well, you got to find out who the person is first.
Yeah, and I don't think she would come out and say it.
Yeah, she's probably not going to say it.
She's not going to want to.
And then the person, let's just say that's true. Let's just say all that's true. That person is probably panicking that she don't tell it if they still work for the court system. Praying that she don't mention their name. Okay, Goose says, of course, she's not going to say the real reason why she lost her children. You don't just lose them for being in foster care. That's just crazy. Yeah, Goose. Well, that's what the representative said from the state, that they just don't take the children because you had them in foster care. There has to be a cause. Water to court. Yeah, it's the same thing. Yeah. Painted Pony says, right, Goose, there's a real reason. There's always a reason. You know, that's why I keep telling people. Every situation is not the same. Every person is not the same. Every allegation isn't the same. Every state agency isn't the same. All the workers, supervisors are not the same. You can't judge every case the same because they don't have the same people. They don't have the same circumstances. They don't have the same eyewitnesses. So you can't say they're all the same. The state is in the business of taking people's kids. For what reason? First of all, they got to have somewhere to put your kid. Who the hell wants to go through all that paperwork shuffling, trying to find a place to put your kid, following up with you if you're trying to get your kid back, if you're allowed to? That's a lot of work for people who don't know how the state is ran and all the shit they go through dealing with children and their parents and their caregivers. It's a lot of paperwork and a paper shuffling and backtracking and calling and verification and court proceedings. It ain't like sitting at a computer, just like what y'all doing right now, typing in shit in the chat. No, I'm just keeping it real.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a real job. That's why they don't have nobody wanting to do the job, because they don't pay you nothing. They don't pay social workers nothing. They're not just sitting at a computer typing in information all damn day. Each worker does something different than another worker, depending on their credentials. So if you're having to shuffle paper, call people, go to placements, home visits, court appointments, the hospitals, you're verifying, that's a lot of work all day, every day. So now you imagine one person doing that per 100, 200 cases of all of that, all day long, 5 days a week. That's a lot of work. So what makes you think in the flip of that, they just got all these wonderful places to place your children, place children? They don't. They've told you that. Most agencies tell you we don't have anywhere to place the children. Nashville just showed you pictures last year of the children sleeping in a government building because they didn't have nowhere to place the damn kids. So why would somebody want to be in the business of taking your children and they don't got nowhere to place them? That's stupid. I don't want to take your kid and I don't got nowhere to put your kid.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I tell people you need to think before you speak. You can't compare all cases the same because they're not the same. Each case is different. Each client is different. Each child is different. The workers are different. The supervisors are different. The agency's bylaws are different. The state laws are different. So that they're never the same. So you can't always blame the state. I'm not saying that people don't maliciously call on people and make up stuff and lie on them. Of course they do. People lie, period. People are evil, period. Whether there's abuse, neglect involved or not, people are just evil. But it is their job to verify the information to see if there's anything truthful to the allegations of abuse and neglect. And I will pray that when they go in to investigate, they'll see if this is just somebody being malicious and making up stuff or some truth to the allegations, and then they follow through. Try being a babysitting grandma. Well, I mean, Beverly, that's a choice. You don't have to be a babysitting grandma. Just saying. It's not the same as somebody, asking you, hey, you want to take some kids in? Versus somebody saying, hey, can you keep my kids for a couple of hours? Anything else you want to add, dear?
No, ma'am.
Well, I guess we'll wait and see if the defense will ask for a change of venue. We'll see if everybody complies with the gag order issued by the judge yesterday. And we will also see if the children will ever be found. I think it'll be very sad and just quite pathetic if we never find the children. They never give up the children. And let me ask you that before we check out of here. Do you think they will ever confess to where the children are? And I'm going to say this before I let you answer. I don't think they will, only because they put in a not guilty plea, and that will contradict me being not guilty if I tell you where the children are. Because I can't be innocent, but then know where the kids are. See where I'm going?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think one of them will possibly break. The one that I think is going to break is going to be Jacqueline. I think it's possible. I mean, I think that she's going to try to play the abuse as well as the kids. I think she's going to try to go that route. Even if it shows her in, let's just say, testimony from the kids and or video. Let's just say they got both. Mm-hmm. You still think she'd say, I was a victim? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. I had to go along with him because he threatened if I didn't, you know what I mean? She can go that route.
Okay.
Yeah, and we'll go ahead. We'll give you 30 years.
Yeah.
We'll give you 15 years if you tell us.
Yeah.
And I think that they could do that with her.
Mm-hmm. Well, she's going to get the 30 because they're charging them each per child. That's where the 30 comes in, because it's 2 children. Had it been 1, it'd be 15.
And I had a question too that
Yeah.
I've been thinking about. Okay, so all of these charges that's on them, right? Is it possible that they find them? Yeah, they could find them not guilty on some of them, and
well, that has happened in some cases. Yeah, that has happened. Usually when they find them not guilty or dismiss those charges, it's because a plea was involved, I believe.
Yeah, see, we'll dismiss those 2 murder charges on you if you tell us what really happened.
Yeah.
Jack.
I think the only ones that'll be dismissed, the murder charges won't be dismissed. It'll be the willful intent, the aggravation, and the police report. Because the police report is a misdemeanor. The next charge up after that is the willful intent. So they could drop those 2 if they decided to say, hey, we want to talk to the state about a plea. Then they probably could drop those down. But they still will, I believe, be facing the 30, though. They're not going to just throw those out. Because you lied, they're dead. Then if we got people saying you abused them, we help you abuse them, they can't just let that slide. They can't let that slide.
Well, hopefully woman's up. They both come out and say, I mean, it'd be nice to have their bodies.
Yes, it would. But they are going all the way with this. There was a guy that was on Duty Ron's panel the other day, and he was just speaking matter-of-factly because, you know, obviously he's been a witness to, you know, true crime and court proceedings, and he knows the mind of a diabolical person. If I am a narcissist, a sadist, a sociopath, psychopath, I'm not thinking like how you think I should think. That's common sense. I'm going to go all the way. And that's exactly what they're doing. They walked right in that court brazen and said, not guilty, as if they don't think nobody's going to say something, no evidence, nothing. They have to know that they've got something on them, but yet they still walked into a courtroom and pleaded not guilty. That says a lot about their mindset.
Yeah. But don't most attorneys tell their client, plead not guilty, because then that gives them time to go through a case to see what they can do to help their client. So
yeah, but they don't know what they got yet. Remember, they haven't got the evidence to know if they should plead not guilty or not.
But automatically, if they go in there and say, okay, I'm guilty, and then the attorney goes through and like, oh, you should have pled not guilty because they really don't have anything on you.
Okay.
Like that buys time for them to say not guilty. That's buying them time to go through a case, and then that's when the attorney's going to say, you better plead not, or you better plead guilty.
Well, let's just say this.
They have all of this on you.
They don't got the evidence as of yet. So let's just say when they do get the evidence, if these people got some sense and not be stupid like Baez, they'll say to them, bruh, sis, go on and take a plea.
Yes.
Because you don't want your kids getting up there telling this story, because most people are going to believe those kids.
Yeah.
Don't put your kids through that. But these people don't care. So I don't see that they would care that the kids would testify. That's why you know that they're crazy, that they're bent. You know what you did. You know you orchestrated those children to do that, and you still will go into court and say not guilty, take a plea not guilty. You're telling the world, I don't give a fuck about nobody. I never cared for those kids, my own, the adopted children, nobody. You don't care. They don't care about their kids. You could have cared about your kids if you allowed them to beat up some other kids. Come on now. You never care about your kids. So I told people that you have to get out your head that favoritism stuff. They ain't love their own children, because nobody could ever say they love their own kids, and they would subject them to that. Teach them to kill other people. How are you a good parent?
Yeah, I'm curious as to what could they have possibly done if they have them throw the little ones up against the wall, that they have them sit on them until they couldn't breathe.
Oh my gosh, you're killing me, Crystal.
I mean, I really want to know.
Well, I'm sure it's the worst case. I'm sure they put their hands on them. Because to suffocate is about 3-4 minutes. So that's not a lot. One person can do that. You don't need 3 or 4 people to do that.
Or if they had them all pile up on one kid at a time, that type. I mean, I don't know. I just can't even imagine
Well, I can't imagine it however it went.
Yeah,
I don't even want to think of just older kids beating up a smaller child. Because it's insane to think you would orchestrate however they, kill the kids.
Yeah, how could somebody think like that?
But see, I told you this shit goes back from when he was a child. All these stories go back to childhood. He obviously has some type of trauma in his own life, some hatred towards manhood himself, womanhood. He wasn't right as a child because what did I tell you? You don't wake up one day and start lying at 30 and 40 years of age. You've been lying. See, the lying leads to other malicious things.
Oh, damn.
The lying leads to thievery, porn, deviant sexual desires, fascinations. It's just like one thing begets another. It's no telling what they were doing with those kids, man. It's no telling. That's why, they never care for their own. Because a lot of people will think that, oh, they favorite their bio kids. That's your assumption. You don't know what they were doing with their kids behind closed doors. The neighbor already told you the kids didn't come outside. So you want me to believe they let their own kids come outside and let the other ones stay in it and watch their own children play outside? I doubt it.
You think that they're going to come out and make a statement, Jamal and Wanda and all them?
I don't know. I think their best. Listen, tell you something. I think the best thing for that little bunch is to shut up. Please don't talk. Just don't say nothing.
Oh, because they weren't even at the court. They weren't at the first court.
Oh, how you know that? Hello?
Yeah.
I said, how do you know they weren't there? Don't start. Oh, you can't say?
No.
Oh, okay.
But that's why I want to know, when are they ever going to come to? When are they going to?
Somebody says, I'd like to know how to get a Winnebago with no job. Well, if you're a hustler, it shouldn't be no problem getting a Winnebago with no job. However they got their house is probably the same way they got the Winnebago. You don't know how much money those two have stacked over the years from fostering the children. Stay woke. And what other scams they had going on. You just don't know. Hell, maybe he has a YouTube channel. I don't know.
Making his beat.
That's a bad joke, ain't it? They picked the biggest thing that would stand out to be trying to lay low in. You should have got like a little small 1990 Hyundai. You go get a big ass Winnebago, white Winnebago.
Oh my God. I couldn't believe that.
And then I think they said the news people were talking to him and he was pretending to be somebody else. I just was like,
I know who they are, but it's not me.
Yeah, it's just like these people. That's what I'm telling you, man. They don't care about nobody. They don't care about their children. They don't care about themselves. They're hideous. They are absolutely hideous. They're sick to me. And it's sad to me that it even had to come down to this because those kids should be alive and they shouldn't have taken the kids in. I mean, I don't know why they adopted any of the children, fostered or adopted the children. And see, that's going to be a flip of the coin too. The defense is probably going to say, well, they had to love the children. Why would they foster them? Why would they adopt them? They get a less amount of stipend, even in adoption. They could have kept fostering them and made more money. And so then there you have it. Escort. Yeah, I thought about that too, Beverly. Maybe she's an escort or he, I don't know. Anyway, the defense is probably going to try to use that to their advantage. Well, they cared about the kids. That's why they fostered them. That's why they adopted them. They could have just kept fostering them and made more money. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that is kind of odd.
Yeah, that's very odd.
I mean, the whole...
Because I brought you commentary about that the state of California still pays the parent a lesser amount of money for adopting the children out of foster care. There's one thing I'm curious about that I'm waiting to hear, if we ever hear, we probably won't. What was the motive and what led to you moving to Cal City, and calling 911 on that day, December 21st? What was the jump off that led to the call? Because the kids, if they're alleging that they were dead for 3 months, something led them to call 911, and I'd like to know what is it. I think somebody was asking questions, such as the state. That's what I think. Somebody called.
It's possible.
You know, they may have missed some doctor's appointments. Well, you know, California might have laws to where you've got to take your children to get certain immunizations. See, people don't think about stuff like that. I don't know the laws in California, but who's to say they were supposed to be taking their children in order to keep getting funds in state and medical? You don't know. And if that's a criteria, you're not responding. The doctors have yet to see the children. Well, now I'm wondering why not. So I'm calling you to ask, hey, when are you going to go take your kids to get a physical? When are you going to take your kids to get their measles shots, their mumps shots, whatever? So then you don't respond. So then I tell you, I send you a nice little letter. Hey, if you don't respond by this day with your kids to the doctor, we will cut off your aid. I got a feeling that's how that went. Something was threatened about their medical aid, financial, and that's when this plot comes up to call a 911 report of the children missing. And that interview they gave is just more sickening, that you could just sit there and spin that web, both of them, knowing you killed those damn kids and they've been dead 3 months. That's deep.
Wasn't that sick? Just watching that, I can't believe how they just straight face. They said it with a straight face, even though he was and make it. I mean, you just knew everything was just a lie. Yeah.
Now that you know, yeah. And that's the thing about a crime. It's the hindsight is when you really realize how sick the people are. Is when you know that the children are dead, the persons are dead, they found the bodies, however it goes, and then you go backtrack to all the interviews and the commentary that they've done, and you're sitting here saying to yourself, damn it, they were standing there sitting there lying the whole damn time and had people rallying for them and believing them. That's really diabolical.
Yeah. But the crazy thing is, there's still people that are on their side.
Of course.
They're not guilty.
And guess what? Not just on their side. There's still somebody walking around you just like them. 2 minutes from making the news.
Right.
Because this story is no different than the story that we saw yesterday, the day before, 5 years ago. There's somebody getting ready to make the news tomorrow with the same MO. That's the jacked up part.
Right.
It's that there are people walking around like Jacqueline and Giselle West. There are people walking around like his family, aiding them. That's what you should be more concerned about. It's that we still have people out here walking around, people being born every day to grow up to be a Giselle and Jacqueline West. Children being used in crimes, felonious behavior.
Right.
That's what's bad.
Yeah, it's just that we don't know about it yet.
This
it hasn't
is
been
so
brought up yet. That's it.
So sick. So very sick. But we will see if indeed they need a body or not to bring this case forward to get a conviction. Some people think they don't need a body. That was a question I posed in this live tonight, plus information about the gag order. And I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you, Mrs. Moore, for joining me.
You're welcome.
We'll talk a little later. Love you too, dear.
All right.
Okay, bye-bye. All right, everybody, that's my mod, Crystal Moore. This was a two-part information pertaining to the case pertaining to the boys. As you know, Jacqueline and Giselle West are facing second-degree murder and other counts in the said indictments in the murder of their said adoptive children. Also, a woman has come forward, as most of you have heard, stating that 2 of her children possibly were in the care of them. I do not know if that is true or not, or if there are any receipts to that said information. I haven't seen anything by the news agent to bring forth any information. And what information that was brought out last week, the state has already given a commentary that they will not address her allegations. Only thing they said is that we don't take children necessarily from the mother if the mother indeed is a ward of the state. So it is what it is. We will see if the state decides to change their mind and verify that the said children were fostered and adopted by Trezell West and are the same kids belonging to this lady. Will the state need the bodies of the boys to secure convictions against Jacqueline and Trezell West? The state feels like they don't. That's what was said in the commentary last week, which has caused an uproar with the defense attorneys for the defendants. We will see how this turns out. We'll also see if they go to court on May 23rd and press forward with this said trial. Gag order on the table. No one is giving any information pertaining to this case, documents, eyewitness testimony. No lawyers can speak, defendants, nobody. Eyewitnesses, nobody. Government workers, court officials, and law officials. They're all grouped in to this as participants that are not to say anything about the case. And we will see if indeed everyone follows protocol to not speak. I want to thank you all for joining me. If you want to donate to the channel of Everyday Shenanigans, $BigAndrew129 Cash App. All super chats were welcome during this live. Thank you all so much. Please go into the library. I have other videos pertaining to this case and updates. I also did a live earlier pertaining to Sherry Papini out of California. She has now been arrested for faking her own kidnapping. And that was a double live, also pertaining to a Miss Cole out of Florida who was found deceased in her own septic tank on her property. Thank you all so much for joining me. God bless all of you. Please be safe. This is Everyday Shenanigans. God bless all of you. Have a safe week.